Welcome to the Run Radio podcast. My name's Trina Wilcox. My guest today, Julie Laughton. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Trina.
So you've got this great, big old, huge background with construction, remodeling houses. What got you into that?
Well, I was kind of born as an artist, and I really got into architecture. So by the time I was 14, I was drawing buildings and doing what they call mechanical engineering, which is drafting and 3D spatial views of everything, just real technical stuff. But I have the artist brain and I got the techie side. So I went to college for architecture and interior design, space planning, landscape architecture, the whole enchilada for design. And then I worked in New York City for the top 5 developers and did really amazing commercial work and really got in behind the science of design as how humans function in the space. And it was commercial. So we're doing model apartments, banks, bank offices, all kinds of stuff. So it was really amazing training.
That is a great gift set to have. Mm-hmm. The ability to visualize something and then even get it down on paper, but then bring it to life. What was something though you didn't expect about architecture when you walked into the world of it?
Well, in the beginning of architecture in college, I wasn't digging the trigonometry and the stuff you can't feel and see. So it was boring. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to be the girl that designs these 40-story high-rise building structures. I'm more interested in how the humans function in the space and what am I going to do to make it magical and make it work for the humans that are occupying these spaces. So that's my focus. So I jumped out of architecture into more of the design and the ergonomics of finishing the space so it's visually appealing and it feels good, because everything you see and touch when you're inside a space is what I focus on. That's my training.
What's one of your favorite things about design? Is it more the aesthetics, the ergonomics, like you said, or is there something else that is just your favorite thing to hone in on?
Well, if you've ever driven a Maserati or been in a Bentley, it's creating that feeling of complete synergy of, oh my God, this is beautiful, but oh my God, it functions perfectly. Ferrari does it, Bentley does it. It's that entire thing from the look, but it's the function. So it has to function. It's the science behind the function. And then, oh my God, it's pretty. It looks good. I feel good. It's both. So just so you know, it has to be both.
Have you ever thought about car design?
Oh yeah, I think about it constantly. And I have a car design in mind, and I always look for the manufacturers who might be doing it, but they never do it because I like the Aston Martin or the 1960s muscle car. So I like the soft fluid lines, the old Jaguars. I'm into those cars so much. I don't like the hard lines but I like the aerodynamic. But I have car designs. Oh yeah.
Cool. As an artist, what was or is one of the hardest things or concepts for you?
You mean the concept? Well, as an artist, it's endless. So when I walk into someone's house, I can see everything that can be done and pretty much how much it'll cost. So I have to kind of get that wrapped around the client's head and keep everything on budget too, because anything's possible. And that's the funny part. So, the sky's the limit, right? But we have to be logical and reasonable and also follow a budget, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever had a limitless budget?
Yeah.
Was that actually easier or harder to make decisions with?
Well, when you don't have any budget or constraints, then you make the decision what's logical. Because in a way, it's harder the less the client's involved, because you're actually directing, you have to kind of manage it more in a way. Yes, it is funny enough, because the other way, it's just boom, 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 boom. Yeah, no, you can't do that. But the limitless budget gives you a lot more opportunity to explore, and then you have to be the one that says, okay, this works. But but I still can't. I'm not the type that goes crazy. I'm kind of conservative as a designer, and I always want what's best, but a little bit more quality. But I would never, go too crazy.
Well, so you've got tons of experience, but people like me, I get scared of those kinds of things because I can see lots of great things, but I don't have that ability to visualize it like you do. So how would I avoid a nightmare if I wanted to redesign a room or my whole house?
Well, you just said it. You have a fear of the unknown, and everybody has a fear of the unknown. So do I. If I go to work with someone else in their profession, and I don't know what they're talking about, and I can't see what they see, I make them show it to me and explain it. So what I do to my clients is I give them that checklist. It's like 1,000 items long, but I have it in 7 simple steps. But what I do is I take everything out of my client's brain, put it on paper, and put it in a color 3D model. They can see. We don't make a move on building it until the client is comfortable with the visual, because most people can't read plans, right? It's impossible. So I put all your stuff in a colored picture so you can see it. And then when you're comfortable, then we keep moving. But that's all you got to do, is be able to see the vision. That's the secret.
My parents built homes twice, and I've always heard that phrase, if a couple can make it through building a home, you're gonna have a marriage that lasts forever. Like, it is a lot of work. So when everybody talks about wanting to design their own beautiful dream home, how realistic is that, and what tips would you give for making sure that happens when you enter into that home building world?
Okay, well, there's 3 things in the world that the highest 3 stress factors: death, experiencing death, getting married, and doing a remodel or building a home. Those 3 are the top 3 things you can go through to put yourself through literal hell stressing about. So like when you get married, there's so many things to decide. Hire a wedding planner or have someone else help you, because you're not going to enjoy. So my advice is, I have 7 simple steps on my website, but my advice is hire someone to help you that's qualified. And that starts with the architect. Whenever you hire an architect, they say hire an interior designer, because they don't do that other part. Then you have a contractor. So traditionally you have 3 people plus the 5 engineers. You're going to need a project manager to help you make decisions, because you don't know the answers. And then you're going to be asked 1,000 questions along the way. So if you don't know the answers, you don't want to guess. So it's always good to have a project manager or someone along with you, or just ask every single person on your team to collaborate early on, because if you don't get the contractor involved with the architect, he might draw plans you can't afford. And then the designer or decorator might just take your budget and blow it on furniture and accessories. So you got to really have everybody, a team that collaborates. Because with me, it's just me, one person. But with everybody else, you have a collaborative team. Don't hire people that don't know each other. Hire people that enjoy working together and trust each other and respect each other. Otherwise, you'll have a nightmare.
How would a person know if they should start from the ground up or just remodel the home they already have?
It's pretty easy when you look at how much it'll cost. So you got to go through, what do I really want? And can I live with what this home can handle, and what it'll cost me to do that? Because most homes, it's cheaper to keep the house than build ground up. But some homes it's not, because you can't accomplish it, and you'd actually really literally rebuild it, and you aren't really saving anything. So you just look at the bottom dollar cost, because new houses have new foundation and new footings and all that. And the other house, you keep all that, and you keep some of the walls, and then you add to it. So it's always cheaper to remodel. But in some cases, some homes aren't worth it and aren't structurally sound and may have too much dry rot or mold or unstable foundation. And then you don't want to deal with it, because it'll cost more to fix them. So it's a whole analysis up front with your architect and your contractor together. And structural engineer. You got to have the engineer involved day one.
Is there a good time to know when you should remodel?
Oh yeah, when everything starts falling apart and you're tired of bumping into people on the holidays, or even when you have a dinner party. So if it's not functioning for today, and maybe your kids are older and you can't entertain anymore because your kids are part of the entertainment. So it's usually when your family changes a little bit and there's more people participating in cooking and entertainment and in the house. But you want your kitchen to be open. You want your kitchen to flow with your outdoors if it's possible. And then, of course, if your cabinets are falling apart and your appliances are garbage, it's time. It's usually, the kitchen's where it starts usually, because that's your workshop.
You said something about outdoors. I love eating outside, but sometimes the bugs are a hassle. Is there a good way to marry the two, to have that outdoor feeling, open airiness, but the, safety of your indoor house?
Oh yeah. I like glassed in rooms, or like atrium feelings and skylights. So if you get enough light in the room, it feels like an outdoor space. And you can always have those doors that are all glass that move and close, and you can be in there and it can be air conditioned and bug free for sure. Because depending on where you live, I'm from Iowa, when, the mosquitoes, forget it. It's impossible. You can't burn enough citronella candles, so,
Right.
so,
Right.
yeah, it's lots of glass. That's all it is. Lots of glass and skylights always makes it outdoorsy.
When you think about design, a lot of times, just from tradition, usually think that's something that more women would handle and that men would do more of the construction and architecture. But is that changing? Is there a lot more of the women doing construction and architecture than ever before?
In the beginning, there was very few because the architecture and construction is male dominated, but now there's lots more, and women are being encouraged more to get into construction and project management. But there's a lot more female engineers, from all the 5 engineers to architects, a lot more. It's way more diverse in the last 20 years. I think the percentage is still below 50%, but it's way more than there was, and it's growing all the time.
When you are thinking about what you want to do with your house when you redesign it, a lot of people are fine with changing out stuff all the time, kind of like their wardrobe. But what if you just want to make sure you're getting something more classic and timeless, that look that will stand the test of time?
Well, first of all, don't do trendy colors or trendy materials or styles. Just stick to a classic style that matches your house style. But if you're in love with a certain time period or mid-century, then go for it, because you want to be able to have your cabinets and everything that's screwed and glued to the walls be timeless. And even your paint color, have it timeless, and only have your accessories, not even your pots and pans, but your accessories and your sofas and drapery and stuff. That stuff you can change out, the covers, the colors. That's the only thing I recommend changing because of the use and wear and tear. But your things that are screwed and glued to the walls, classic timeless colors and neutral tones. I mean, look out the window of your house. Where are you at? Is it beachy? Is it mountainy? Is it, a forest behind you? Just pick classic neutral tones or wood tones, but depending where you're at, and or sand colors, that's my advice, because you don't want to be changing that constantly. Only change the things that you can move around.
So now you're bringing your wisdom to a podcast. Tell us about what people can expect and when it's going to start.
Okay, so my podcast will be launched this week, and it's basically Julie Laughton Living. It's just me talking about how I got where I got, why I chose to be a contractor and not just stay a designer, and all the wisdom I learned along the way of how to do it right the first time, how to avoid a nightmare, because every job can be nice and wonderful and fun if you follow the simple steps and don't skip steps. And then, of course, you have to build the right team you work with. But there are rules and guidelines and places to go for information, so you know what you're looking at or talking about before you start, because most people start completely blindly. And my job is going to be to educate, more people how I do it, so you know what to look for. And I mean, even to look up building codes in your local city, so you know what you should or shouldn't do without a permit, which is nothing.
Yes. Good to know right away. So if you
Yeah.
were in this world, what would you be doing? What would
If I was-
another career? Yeah. If you were in this world of design, what else would you do with your career?
Oh my God, it's so funny. I always say that I would be a great psychiatrist. Just kidding. But because therapy and helping people, like a life coach, because it's like I'm like a remodel coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're guiding, because you have to give the client information and sort out their thoughts for them to even be able to make a decision with us. So a part of my job as a trained designer is working with the client's thoughts and feelings and emotions. So that's really huge in the background. So, or a race car driver, because that's how I drive.
You've got a lot of experience with that, I guess.
I'm kind of competitive. So I was on scratch golf, 7 handicap golfer, and I played sports, so I'm competitive, but I love to drive, and that's my happy place, is inside my F-150 King Ranch with my killer stereo system.
Oh my goodness, that sounds fun. That sounds really fun.
And I'm a drummer, so I could have chose to be a musician.
Gosh, I love it.
So when I was in high school, I thought, do I want to be a musician? Because I played drums, piano, and bass violin. Or do I want to be an artist because I was oil painting at 12? Or do I want to be an architect? So I chose architecture because I would starve in the other two. I already knew that as a young person. And I gave up the 2 scholarships for golf immediately because the colleges were too small. And I wanted to go to a larger university with more exposure to more people and a better education. So I did have choices, but
exciting. You
yeah,
did.
musician, artist, and architect. I chose architecture.
So do you practice the drums regularly?
I have a 12-piece drum set in my living room right now. Yep.
So are you self-taught?
I
Then?
I had a teacher since I was 10 years old, just like a golf coach since I was 10. And I always had a coach. And then I played in the marching band, the concert band, and the jazz band. And then I was in a little rock band with my neighbor. So I read music, but now I just play by ear because I just play for fun to my favorite music. So which is 1970s rock and roll.
Nice. I love it. Well, if you ever start a band and have music, I support indie artists and have indie musicians in my playlist. So you'll have to submit something if you choose to find that in all of your spare time that you probably
I always
don't
loved
have.
musicians and music. When I lived in New York City, I had friends in the music business and the A&R people in the music business. And I always enjoyed watching who they picked and who succeeded and who kind of made it. And so much talent, you know, so much
Yes.
talent.
Yeah. So let's see. I had another question for you. Music, and it seemed like it might have had to do with driving fast, but I can't think of what it was right now. Anything else that we need to know that we haven't tapped into?
Well, my cousin is Haley Deegan. She's a #1 NASCAR driver at her age. And she started at 17 and she's a female race car
fun.
driver. So it's in our blood.
That is fun. I know what it was. Do you still play golf regularly?
Yes, I do. And I still drive the ball 250, if not 260 on a good day. I'm like 5'8" and 175 pounds. So I'm not a small person. Yeah, I'm a big,
Wow.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So much fun. That is very neat. Okay, let's see. What other sports do you like when you're not doing golf? Like, what are some of your?
Well, I used to play tennis and I was a lifeguard for 4 years. I was the youngest certified lifeguard in Iowa at 14. So I did that for 4 years during summer break of high school. And then I would teach swim lessons to kids and adults. So I like swimming, you know, and all that good stuff, but I don't have time for much except golf. And I haven't played tennis for a while, but I have everything. But I like golf because it's social and gets me outdoors.
Yes, very cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Come back anytime you have something else to share. I'd love to hear about it. And good luck with the podcast. And it doesn't sound like there's anything you can't do. So
I don't know how to play chess and I refuse to skydive. Those are the 2 things on my list.
all right. Just 2 out of all that. I think you're good. Thanks so much. Tell us your website one more time.
JulieLaughton.com.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Thank